What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Saturday night's late night agenda on a stream that, quite frankly, I didn't think I'd be doing. I didn't think I'd be here. I didn't think I'd be coming on for this one. It was my day off, but I should just plan more days off, shouldn't I? Because, you know, Arsenal can't give me a day off. One day, Arsenal. That's all I wanted. One day. But no, you have to go and you're gone done it now, Arsenal. You're gone done it. The league title's over. I don't care. Don't be coming at me. I don't want to hear Craig wait. Come on now. Come on. I know and I get it, but come on. Bring it in. Bring it in. Come on. Bring it in. Oh, lads. Look, I've got something else special for you. Hang on. Let me just get this nice and big for you so we can enjoy it. There you go. Who wants a can? Who wants a can? You know what I mean? I'm always delivering for you. Do you want a can? Anybody want a can? And thirsty, anybody? Anybody? Nah. Oh, what a day. What a day. Look. You're all within your rights to have your own time when you want to celebrate the league title success. Paddy Power have paid out, but that doesn't mean nothing, right? Paddy Power have paid out, that doesn't mean nothing. But I tell you what a day. Jarrad Bowen, how are you, son? How are you, Jarrad Bowen? Look, ladies and gentlemen, I know. Some people are going to want to wait, and I'm not going to ridicule or mock those people tonight. You are all perfectly within your own rights to decide when you want to celebrate. But I am celebrating right now because we're 8 points clear. We've played the same amount of games. Yes, we do have a very tough game tomorrow, but at this point, even if they close it to 5, we've Newcastle. I back us to beat them. But the most important thing that I want to say is, I know people want to say hang off, but my point is Arsenal have shown zero ability to go 1 month without dropping points. So they've seen us draw with Everton, they've seen us draw with Villa, and then they had the chance to pile the pressure on our shoulders ahead of the game tomorrow against City. And they lost at home 1-0. But don't worry, I know what you're thinking. Craig, hang on a minute. It's all very well and good saying that they lost, but what does the deserve to win-o-meter say? You'll sleep better tonight. No, the deserve to win-o-meter made Arsenal the favourites to win the game. 41% on the good old deserve to win-o-meter to show that Arsenal should have won the game. So Arsenal fans can sleep well tonight knowing that the deserve to win-o-meter had them winning the game. So that's worth more than real points. Also, the shithousery hasn't stopped today. Shall I share a little tweet with you? Shall I share a tweet with you that I instructed Mr. Conor Crosby to put up today? Now, again, I don't know how this is going to come up on screen, but bear with me. So, we've made a little tweet today. Have a little read of that and tell me what you think. It says, to celebrate the launch of the Anfield Agenda shop.com, we're offering a free Where's the Money John hoodie to any journalist who wants to stay warm in the press box. That's just the type of guy I am, you know. That's what we are. We're here to look after those journos, you know, working away hard in the press box. And maybe they're a little bit cold, you know. And don't worry, we don't even want you to pay for it. We know that times are tough for print journalists, so we're offering it here for nothing. All that we want is a little picture just to show that you're in the press box proudly wearing your Where's the Money John hoodie. We got you covered, lads. We got you covered. Don't ever fuck with me. That's simple as that. Don't come at me, King. Don't come at me. You are going to lose. Because I will out shithouse every single one of you. Especially on a glorious day like today. You know? So look, a few super chats to get through and then we'll get into the chuckling. CH not take the day off, name a better duo. I mean, honestly, I had planned to take a day off. I settled in, I was watching some of the boxing. I watched the Callum Smith, Joshua Boazzi fight and wow. What a fight. What a fight that was. And then I thought, you know what, I got to jump on and chat with everybody. And we got to see how everyone's feeling about it. Another super chat from Raven B said, please take this as payment for my can. I love it, mate. Well played. Ricky Paul, how are you, bro? One can please, and so will my Arsenal supporting friend. I don't know what that... Oh, one can please. Yeah, no problem. I've got you covered, mate. We'll send them out in the post. But Craig, Arsenal are scary. I know. So look, tonight we thought we'd just have a little bit of fun. You know, because I know everybody's going to be buzzing today, because days like today are the sweetest ones for me. The ones where you don't accept or expect teams around you to drop points. Now, by the way, the little tweet here to the journalists, that's meant as a bit of harmless banter. I hope people understand that. There's nothing personal about it. It's just a little bit of a laugh. So I hope the journalists smile at it, because it was meant to make them smile. But anyway, look, days like today, I was fully expecting Arsenal to wipe the floor with West Ham, even without a forward. I was fully expecting them to wipe the floor with them, and they didn't, and it surprised me. But that's it now. Pressure off. Tomorrow feels like a free hit. We can go to the Etihad and play without fear, and that is why I think we win the league, because the pressure is off now. If Arsenal close that gap to 5 and then we had have lost tomorrow, they could be within one win of going ahead of us. But all of that goes out the window because, you know, Jarrad Bowen with a beautiful diving header. So look, Paddy Power have paid out on Liverpool winning the league, but I want to know what you think. So I'm going to ask you, as the first poll of the night, and by the way, I could be on a stripper poll by the end of this night, so stick with me. I want to ask you, do you think it's now done? Because Paddy Power have paid out. Paul Merson on Sky Sports, Gillette Soccer Saturday, putting his hands up and saying, that's it, league over. They're running out of forwards. Lewis Skelly got himself sent off today for pulling down the last man, so he'll be out for the next one. It's just all coming apart at the seams for Arsenal. And if they have any sense about them, and I mean this sincerely, they should just focus on the Champions League now. Because, yes, they're going to have to pick up points to stay in touch and distance with us. But they've got a good shout in the knockout round of the Champions League, and that's where they should be focusing, in my opinion. One second. So the question is, are you now sure we win the league? Give me a yes or a no. And I can't be an unsure. I want a yes or a no from you. What are you thinking? Let me know. Duncan, Craig, you're world class. Thank you, bro. So are you. So is all the Anfield Agenda community. They have Forest away next too. Yeah, exactly, man. That's not going to be an easy game. Forest away. We know all about Forest. We got to draw, if my memory's right, at the City Ground. But of course, they're the only team to beat us this season. Now, one thing I would say is, for us to not win the league title now, Arsenal would have to go perfect, and we'd have to lose a quarter of our remaining games. We'd have to lose more games in the last 12 than we did in the entirety of the season. And a lot of those games are at home. So I get where you're coming from. But even if we lose tomorrow, which I don't think we will, but, you know, giving City the respect that their players are capable of a result, it doesn't change anything. Because Arsenal still have to go to the City Ground on Wednesday, and yes, we're at home to Newcastle. So the best I think they're going to hope for there is closing the gap to 5, and they're still not making that up, because we'd be then 10 games to go, and they need to make up 5 points on us and stay perfect. It just isn't going to happen. The best case scenario is, of course, tomorrow we can extend that to 11. They ain't coming back from that either. So for me, it's a very, very clear yes. But I promised at the start of this stream that I'm not going to knock anybody who wants to wait a bit longer. I understand we've been scarred as Liverpool fans. But one thing, to be fair to me, I've consistently said this season is, we're not being chased by Manchester City. We're not being chased by the Pep Guardiola winning machine of old. We're being chased by an Arsenal team who haven't won the league title in 20 years, who have the pressure and burden of history on their shoulders, who have no forwards, who have just had another player sent off, and they can't score. Come on. You know, I know, but come on. Enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with believing your team are going to do it. Nothing wrong with it, because we are going to do it. Arna is going to deliver the big one in his first season. Now it's a matter of what records can Salah break on the way. We're going to take you through some quotes tonight from our captain, Virgil van Dijk. It isn't just me coming on to have a laugh here. We do have some actual stuff to go through as well with you. Steve Aldersey, thank you, bro. Huge momentum shift and a boost for tomorrow's game. Appreciate you, Steve. 18 months with us as a member as well. Martin Hall said 20 cans, please. No problem, Martin. They're on the way. In case you're wondering what the cans are he's talking about, it's these ones. You know, because tonight we're tipping some out. We're having a little drinky poo. By the way, I don't know who made that on AI, but it was in my Discord group, so I thought I'd grab it and throw it on the stream. It's looking good, but I won't be sure till it's done, said PC Drat. As I promised, bro, no problem with that whatsoever. Yeah, you can hang off as long as you want, man, and I'm not gonna ridicule you for that. I understand, I do. I just have absolute confidence in this group that we're doing it, because I don't see Arsenal being able to string together the necessary run of wins, because they haven't done it at all. And remember, this is Arsenal after having had a warm weather training camp in Dubai while we played games. We've played 2 games and drawn 2 of them, and Arsenal could have come in today and put the pressure on, and they didn't, because they're not good enough. Mike said, Craig, it's way too early to start celebrating. Not for me, it isn't, mate. But again, no problem, Mike. You do you, bro. You do you. And I'm not going to mock you for it or knock you for it, man. Whatever works for you. But for me, come on. I mean, I don't know why we're so afraid to celebrate. Well, I kind of do, because we're scared. But like I've said, this isn't Man City. This isn't a peak Man City chasing us down. Yeah, it isn't. So enjoy it. And for me, what this gives us most is the ability to go out there tomorrow at the Etihad and just go for it. Just play. Enjoy it. No pressure. Win. So, if you're not up for it yet, what about after tomorrow? Let's say we went to the Etihad and won. Are you up for it then? It's, like, there's nothing in any statistic. There's nothing in any metric. There's nothing to suggest that Arsenal can turn this around. They're giving up. Like Merson's giving up. They're all giving up. It was just going to be one more time for Arsenal to shit the bed before we really start to celebrate. And they did it. So whatever happens tomorrow happens. But I'm absolutely... If you were to ask me now to bet my life on it, I would. Well, obviously the payoff would have to be good enough, but I would. That's how confident I really am now. They didn't even manage to salvage a draw from that game. And they had a handful of shots in the game. They looked lost. And West Ham picked them apart. Could have had a second. So, yeah, enjoy these moments, folks. You know, and have a little spare thought for Jurgen as well, because I'm sure he's having a little wry smile somewhere. Johnson said, or is it Jason? Sorry, Jason. As far as I know, that game today is the first of 5 London derbies in a row for Arsenal. Love your channel, watching from Dublin. I don't think that's right, because as far as I remember, they have United in the run. But they have United, they have Chelsea, they have next up Nottingham Forest away at the City Ground. You know, this next week, maybe by Wednesday, people will feel a bit different. Hopefully when I'm on here on Wednesday night for the post-match show, people will feel a little bit different. People who are holding and reserved right now. And I get it. I promise you, folks, I get it. So I'm going to be kind to everyone tonight, but don't come in and tell us not to be excited. I'm not telling you how to feel, but please repay that and let us celebrate. Giannis. John is a stingy bar steward, but we will win the league. The Reds have got no money, but we'll still win the league. Yeah, we will. Oh, lads. You should have signed for Liverpool, Rice, said Adrian. Do you know what? I'm so proud. I'm so proud of this group and our manager, because the pressure's been on us all week. You know, we know the games we had coming up. We knew that there were going to be some wobbly moments in there. We knew that there were going to be some scary times. But they've come through. They've, again, maybe not got the wins we wanted, but we'll look back on these points. And I want to call and credit Steve Bland on this one, because he messaged me the other day and he said, don't underestimate that draw of Villa. That draw of Villa and that point at Everton will still mean something. And now that I look back on it, he's absolutely spot on. I think I missed the super chat here from Jaden Walker. Sorry, Jaden. Thank you, Mark, for alerting me. Jaden said, GG's Arsenal, nice to see the title race. So, you know what? I sat here last night at one point, and I'm not going to lie to you. I promise you this is true. I sat here and I thought, right, Craig, What if you lose tomorrow to Man City? And what if Arsenal do somehow turn it around and win the league? How are you going to react? And I swear, I can never prove this to you, but I sat here and I said, I'm going to go on and I'm going to celebrate and I'm going to say well done to them. If they win the league, I'm going to come on like I promise and applaud them and say well done to them. But today surely shows you that they haven't got it in them. They just haven't. At home to a West Ham team that have been up and down and all over the shop, and they couldn't get it done. Come on now. You know deep down. I'm going to have you convinced by the end of the stream if I don't already. Nick said, knew you'd hop on. Arsenal so toothless right now. Well, I had to hop on, Nick, didn't I? I had to. I wouldn't respect myself if I didn't come on. And by the way, we didn't know what to expect with the few little bits of merch that we put out. Wow. You guys are showing up. We've sold, I think, 35 items or something in the first day. And we, you know, it isn't about money making for us because we make about a £5 a thing. It's about knowing that there's people out there in the world or inside Anfield wearing the Where's the Money John stuff or drinking out of an Anfield Agenda mug. Thank you. Thank you so much to everyone. We sent one over to Brian as well in the United States. Of course, we got to make sure we look after Brian. We gained 1 point away to Villa. Makes it feel better, said Nick Safina. I'm a City fan, but I hope you win the league. Arsenal can stay humbled and meditated, said Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. I bought a jumper, t-shirt and a mug, said Adzer. Nice, nice. I got the white hoodie. And when I say I mean this genuinely. We bought the white hoodie because we have to buy all our own merch as well. And yeah, I bought myself a white one. I'm looking forward to it. Of course, I will wear it on screen. Right, a couple of super chats to get through. I can't. My face is gonna start hurting because I can't stop grinning. What a day! Let's go to City and play with no fear, said Rain. My thoughts exactly, my friend. Wax Ahmed said, hello Craig, I want to ask if Slot wins the league, will it be a better manager than Klopp as it'll be Slot's first season? So look, you can look at that, man, in a few different ways, right? You can look at it and think maybe they caught people off guard a little bit. And look, I'm a realistic person. You know, the points we're putting up this season are similar to the points we were putting up last season. But yes, the teams around us haven't put up enough points. But that's not our fault. You know, we've been the most consistent team over the course of this season. We've dragged back to draws in games where maybe years ago we would have lost. And it hasn't been plain sailing, but it was never going to be when you play as many games as we have. And yeah, you're going to need a little bit of luck with injuries. But to get back to your question, Cass, I'll never say anyone's a better manager than Jurgen Klopp because Jurgen Klopp, I feel, brought us to the dance and didn't get enough backing. But it speaks as well to Arne Slot's tactical acumen, what he's been able to do, you know. But there have been concessions that teams are falling away, and that's, you know, we got to acknowledge that, but it's not our problem. You know, if Arsenal had have won this league title, they wouldn't have cared if we didn't have a great season or Man City, and I would have said fair play, you shouldn't care. But enjoy. What a fucking day. What a day. Victor said, I don't think the competition is lower this year. In fact, the competition in the Prem is higher than ever. Every game is a battle. Nothing is given. We're potentially on for mid-80s. A little bit higher, perhaps. And I said at the start of the season, my goal for Arne Slot was to equal or improve on the points tally that Jurgen and the boys put up last year, which, if my memory's correct, was either 82 or 83 points. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly which one. Dave, did I miss your super chat? Sorry. When will the Arsenal fan base learn? They won't, mate. They won't. They won't. Do you know, they're already on trying to make out like City are going to claw back and win the league. Honestly, I've seen an Arsenal fan online try to make out like this will be a Manchester City glorious comeback. If they beat us tomorrow, they'll go on to win the league. The delusion is absolutely off the charts. 20th title, 7th Champions League. Let's do it, WFM. Actually, on that, I've got some numbers for you around that. And David, yeah, apologies again, mate. I did go back to it. Heavy Metal D said, after tomorrow's game in Newcastle, I'll be 95% sure we win the league. It's just how I feel, but so happy today. I get it, and I'm not going to judge you for it. Like I said, mate, I just want to have fun tonight with my fellow Reds. and enjoy a very surprising turn of events today. You know, because I hand on heart, I would have put any money I had on an Arsenal victory today. But there you go. You know, the tide has turned. We've gone over 3,000 people live as well, which for a nightly stream tells you how fun people are, how happy people are with this result. And do keep your thoughts and comments coming in. We have a poll running where we asked you, are you now sure we win the league? Still time to vote. We've 1,700 votes so far. We're going to leave it go a little bit longer. Craig, someone in your own chat said before the Arsenal game that they'd go undefeated. Look, I've been saying all the way through the season, Arsenal aren't going to be able to do what Man City have done in the past because they're not Man City. Arsenal haven't. I might be wrong on this, but I don't think I am. I don't think Arsenal have gone 1 month without dropping points over the whole season. They're not going to do it in the remaining games with, at the very least, no forwards. So let's wait and see. They looked so toothless against West Ham today. And that should give you enough. You know, because our firepower is incredible. You know, between Gakpo being back, Diaz, Salah, Jota. You can even throw old Darwinian in there. What a day, lads. What a day. Right, so I said I had some numbers for you. Bear with me. Bear with me. So, you know, just to be fair to Arsenal, let's bring this up on screen. You know, the deserve to win-o-meter that we spoke about earlier on shows Arsenal should have won the game, you know. And the deserve to win-o-meter doesn't lie, does it? You know, the deserve to win-o-meter has been the benchmark for Arsenal fans this season to enjoy their gallop to the title. Oh dear. But that's not the numbers I was talking about. Opta and the supercomputer have done out the Champions League odds. And this one I think you'll find interesting. So they have Liverpool as the most likely team to win the Champions League. But it is really close. So they have Liverpool at a 17% probability rate to win the Champions League. Then comes Barcelona with a 16% probability. Arsenal and Inter Milan are joint third with 14% probabilities. Then comes Real Madrid with 11% probability. But interestingly here, to make the final, they have Barca at 33%, Liverpool at 28%, Arsenal at 24%, Milan at 28%. It's just all coming up Millhouse at the minute. But for me, honestly, the league title's it. Whatever we can do after that is an absolute Brucey bonus. But the league title for me is the be-all and end-all of this season. And I think I'm right in saying people are with me on that. Whatever else we win is a bonus. But right now, title number 20 to equal the Manx. Come on now. Well, Craig, how's the form? I think we win the league now, and I think we win number 7 too. No, I'm not. I'll sit here and say to you we're winning the league. I'm not going to sit here and say to you I think we're winning the Champions League because I really don't know. It's a very, very tough competition, and you need to have some luck along the way. Sean Hewitt, how are you, Sean? Said, hey, Craig, would you take Alexander Isak at Liverpool, or would you prefer we go for someone else? Would I take him at Liverpool tomorrow morning in a heartbeat? But the thing is, I've been realistic about, at least I think I'm being realistic about this, Sean. I think it will take Newcastle not getting into the Champions League. And if they don't get into the Champions League, then I think maybe the pressure comes on to sell. Because that'll be 2 seasons out of the Champions League for them. And a player in Isak who, let's be honest, deserves to be playing Champions League football. But the real thing that would scare me about it is the asking price. You know, I expect Arsenal to go big in the summer on a striker and make every penny available to try and sign Isak. So right now, honestly, I would feel like there's more of a chance Arsenal sign Isak than us. But I take him tomorrow. The interesting one for me, though, is Matheus Cunha. Scored again today for Wolves as they had a very impressive 1-0 victory away at Bournemouth. Bournemouth did have a red card in the game, but Matheus Cunha is the interesting one for me. I'd love to get your take on this one. So we'll end this poll. So, are you now sure we win the league? Over 2,000 votes, and 75% of people are saying, yeah, they're confident enough that we win the league. Also, a couple of other bits and pieces. So, as you know, we have launched a few hoodies and a few mugs and a few other bits. If you're a member of our community, like an Anfield Agenda channel member, check the community tab out on the YouTube channel and you'll see a discount code there for 10% off for any member. So do check that out if it's something that interests you. Right, Ian Cahill. How many more games until we win the league after the Manchester game? We have 3 games at Anfield and I'm feeling that we'll win those 3. I'm feeling a guard of honour, you know, at Anfield for the Arsenal game. That's what I'm feeling. So watch, let me predict what will happen here. So Arsenal will all of a sudden say that they want the Champions League, the fan base, and that'll be a bigger thing. You know, that they'll make the play that they want to win the Champions League and that'll be bigger than the Premier League. And look, if they won the Champions League, it would be a monumental achievement. There's no denying that. But do I think they get past Real Madrid over 2 legs? Or Atletico Madrid? No, I don't. They just don't have the firepower. So, I want to ask you about Matheus Cunha. I want to ask you about him. So, the reason I'm asking you about Cunha is, what we know about his contract is that there's a buyout clause in it. And if my memory's correct, the buyout clause is about £62.5 million. And that makes it very interesting to me because somebody pointed out exactly that from Liverpool, saw me in the chat. The new Bobby. He could do a Bobby Firmino role in our system. And at first I thought no. But I've been won around by watching him, by looking into him a little bit further, and knowing there's a release clause. So no, Snappy, not over Isak. No. Isak, I think most of us would agree, is the number one we'd have. But if you're talking about 120 to 150 million pound price tag, I just don't see us spending that. Because remember, we have to bring in a left back. We're going to talk about a centre back in a minute because Fabrizio Romano's been posting today about that. And he's made it very clear that his sources suggest Liverpool are going for a centre back. So we've a centre back and a left back to get. I still think we need that body in midfield. And then we need to figure out what's going on up top. So I just don't know if we'd have that money to spend on Isak. I just don't know. So yeah, the poll is, I guess, as an alternative. Because I think most of us would say Isak would be the one. What will you choose? A world-class striker and a solid defender, or the other way around? A world-class defender and a solid striker every day of the week. I'll tell you why. Because growing up, I've been lucky enough to see many great Liverpool attackers with many great goal scorers. But until Virgil van Dijk came in with Alisson Becker to our defence, I never really felt like we were looking like title winners. And the old adage of defences win titles, I think that's true most of the time. So I would happily take a good forward for a world-class defender. And look, I guess maybe age has made me think about that differently because a younger me would have gone for the forward all the way. Cunha would be amazing. Is there any interest? I believe so. David Lynch wrote a piece the other day, I think it was, kind of just highlighting some of the reasons why it would be a decent fit. Now, I'm not going to put words in the man's mouth and say that he said Liverpool are going to sign him. He absolutely didn't. But you can see why there'd be interest. And we know the release clause. So there wouldn't be a summer of negotiating. If Liverpool wanted to deal with Wolves and they wanted to trigger it, you know, they could do that. But let's talk about centre-backs for a minute. Because 2 things today from Fabrizio Romano. First one, Liverpool are really advancing in the process to identify a centre-back that they want to sign in the summer. They will go for an important centre-back. In an internal meeting, they all agree on bringing in a centre-back. Now, the big question for us Liverpool fans here is that for the future or to replace Virgil? Now, of course, we all hope it's for the future, to give us a little bit of time for Virgil to continue playing with the club. But another thing from Fabrizio Romano that he said was Liverpool appreciate Hoyson. 50 million quid is believed to be the number there. 50 million quid is also the number on Kirkes at left back, apparently. But I am a little bit concerned by that post, because it's great to hear we're looking at a centre back. No argument there. But, you know, the fear is what happens with Virgil's contract. Because of all the contracts, I think Virgil is the easiest decision to make. For me. I know you might expect me to say Mohamed Salah is the easiest decision, but I don't think it is. I think centre-back that doesn't rely on his pace, and you can see it in other great centre-backs who've gone on and played till they're 38, 39. I think Virgil has 2 to 3 years at the very top left in him. So for me, that's the priority here on contracts. Now, Virgil was speaking about the contract situation. This is what he had to say, speaking to Jamie Redknapp. He said, it's all about the next couple of months. We're still in 3 competitions. We want to be successful in all 3 of them. That's the main focus I've got. Very, very big plans in that sense. I want to make sure that this team is successful, and that's my main focus. Then he goes on to speak about the contract. He said, I can't speak about personal conversations, and have obviously been going on for a while. So, again, Virgil confirming that conversations with the club are still ongoing. He said, I can only say that I am fully committed to the club. I love the fans. I love the club. I've had such an amazing time already. Let's see what the future brings, but as long as I'm calm, I think the rest of the world can stay calm as well. When there is a definite answer on my future, it will probably be out, as in the answer, not him out. Then everybody can know I'm quite calm about it. So that gives me a little bit of positivity that I feel Virgil feels like that's probably going to go in the right direction. So if you can say to me, Craig, Virgil's staying, and hopefully the other 2 stay as well, but say Virgil's staying, I think then we can build off that and see what happens. Certainly I'd feel a lot calmer knowing that our captain was staying. Right, a couple more super chats to catch up on. Adam, love you too, bro. Thank you. Appreciate you. Victor said, trying to find United in the table, but I can't find them. Well, do you know what? Everton today became the first team in Premier League history to both win a 2-2 game and lose a 2-2 game back to back. There you go. First team. They beat us 2-2, and then they lost 2-2 to Manchester United today. You know, just when you think you've seen it all in football. Hatto, Hoyson, a midfielder, Gordon and Kuna. I think the Gordon ship has sailed, to be honest with you. I think that was a before he signed a new contract type of deal that we tried to happen last summer. But I do think you might see us raid Bournemouth, all right. Jarrad Hatto was another interesting one, because not only is he on our list, he's on Real Madrid's list as well. But all the names we're mentioning, I think most of us would feel quite calm about. Liverpool wins anyway. If they lose tomorrow, love Liverpool as well. Arsenal go home. I think, look, Sarah, even if we lost tomorrow, which I don't think we will, but even if we did, it won't change my thinking one bit that we're going to win this league title. Because I'd back us to go and beat Newcastle then on Wednesday. And Arsenal have their own very, very tough game on Wednesday. And if news comes through to Arsenal that we're beating Newcastle, let's say, I think that's it. I think subconsciously they're probably accepted it already. Again, let's remember, they had great incentive to go and win there today. We'd drawn 2 games and they hadn't played since. So they went from having a game in hand to now, or excuse me, they went from having played a game more to having a game in hand before kick-off today, knowing that beating West Ham would pile the pressure on us for tomorrow. And they didn't do it. And they had plenty of time to eke out a draw in that game, even after Bowen scored just before half-time. And they didn't do it. At home, against West Ham. And, you know, so don't believe for 1 second they're going to go and beat Forest away and roll over United and Chelsea and come to Anfield and do anything. You know, maybe some of those things happen. But for every single thing that needs to happen for Arsenal to win the league to happen, it just isn't. And especially with the amount of home games we have coming up as well. Right, I'm trying to play catch up here. Benjamin, how are you, bro? Said, hey Craig, after the Aston Villa game, I saw West Ham doing this. What's your thoughts around Marca and AS Sports saying they may not need Trent due to Valverde? Good. They're right. They don't need Trent. Yep, I agree. Look, I've thought about the Trent situation quite a bit over the last few days. And I think I've softened a little bit on it. I'm going to try to explain why. So, as I've mentioned many times, actually, I want to just say a quick thank you. Danny, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Danny LaRue and Tony Zeus, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC. So, thank you to both. So, what was I talking about there? So, I'm so happy I can't even think straight. What was I talking about? Fuck, I don't know. I can't remember. I had a great thought there. Now I've lost track. Yeah, sorry, it's gone. Might come back. Trent, thank you. Yeah, blonde moment there. Apologies. Right, so Trent. Yeah, I've softened a bit on it because I think if he was going to go to Madrid, or he really wanted to go to Madrid deep down, it would have been signed. And I think, looking at the contract situation for Canade, for Virgil and for Mohamed, I think he's been lowballed as well. And I think that might be more the reason why we haven't heard that from Trent. Now, I could be setting myself up for a bit of hurt there, but I just feel that there's something to the fact that none of them have signed that makes me feel like there's going to be a late flurry of activity and we'll see some stuff get sorted much quicker than everything else has happened. That's just a gut feeling I have at the minute. And there's been a few little bits and pieces on socials and stuff that makes me think, I don't know, is this starting to turn around a little bit towards Trent maybe staying? PC Drap said, I've heard Sesko is a major target meeting soon. So I would think that Benjamin Sesko again would be a very good fit for us, PC Drap. Arsenal, another name that's been mentioned with him, but I think for us he'd be a very good fit, yes. Him, Cunha, Isak, I'd take any of them. Nick said, Madrid want fans to chant about corruption in their league during tomorrow's game at Girona. They are destroying their reputation daily. They very much are. They very much are. You know, they cried about the Ballon d'Or. Now they're crying about corruption of referees. And I keep saying, Nick, imagine any team in England did that. Remember when Arsenal moaned about referees or talked about looking into every avenue, and then we did it as well, and Neville and co were rinsing us for it. Madrid should be laughed out of La Liga. The state of it, like. Adam said, if and when we say goodbye to Trent and Darwin, we need dollars from it. I think we haven't seen them leave because they may not be a lot there. Well, look, Trent, you're not going to get money for if he leaves. You know, Trent's going to go on a free if he goes. If he stays, well, that's a different conversation. Darwin, the money was there. You could have taken the money from Saudi, but Liverpool played, I think, the sensible card and thought we can't dilute our attacking options and put ourselves into potential Arsenal position. So I guess Liverpool looked at it and thought, well, let's keep Darwin and, you know, he'll contribute, even if it's hard work rate or whatever. And then we can revisit in the summer. And if he wins the league with Liverpool or maybe a Champions League, well then heck, that probably puts the price up a bit. So I think it was the right decision, as much as I still feel Darwin isn't good enough. I do think the club made the right decision not taking the bids in January, because we wouldn't have had time to get the solution they wanted in. Now, I don't know what the solution is, by the way, but I do believe that will come full circle in the summer and we'll see Darwin leave. Mark and AS Sports at the same time, my friend in Spain has always told me that Real Madrid mouthpiece, maybe they're on spin now. I don't know. It feels like if that's happening, and as you've said, Benjamin, your friend's in Spain, so, you know, he'll have his finger on the pulse of the Spanish media. Maybe Madrid are feeling like they're losing the battle for Trent. And as you said, mate, maybe they're starting to brief now a little bit around it. But I don't know. I've always been honest about the Trent situation, so I haven't got a clue what's going on. Yusuf said, Craig, realistic ideal summer transfer window. So keep everyone that's here with regards to the 3 contracts. I'm going to work off that basis. See, it's easy for me to sit here, Yusuf, and say go to Bournemouth and sign Kirkes and Huijsen. But are Bournemouth going to want to be fleeced for 2 players in one window? Now, I know they've already brought in a left-back, Julio Soler from Lanús in Argentina. So they've already pre-planned for the idea of potentially losing Kirkes. They'd be the 2 I think I'd go for. I love the Kuiper at Club Brugge. I've said this for a few months. I think he'd be a great signing for anybody in the Prem. But yeah, I mean, if you took those 2 in, or Haddo, I've no problem with him either. I think you go a long way to getting your window off to a good start if you can get those 2 in early doors. Because we need a centre-back no matter what else happens. If the worst happens and Virgil leaves, we need 2 centre-backs. But we need 1 right now. And I also wonder if we're going to see Joe Gomez move on in the summer. I get the feeling we will. What will happen to Alisson next season? It's a really good question, and I don't know the answer. The goalkeeping department, the goalkeeping department's one that concerns me because we're in a really healthy position of having a great goalkeeper, a great backup goalkeeper, and a very good keeper coming into the club. But for me, we can only afford to lose one of those. It's obviously not going to be Georgie Mamardashvili because we've just signed him and he's going to come in. So it will come down to Kelleher and Alisson. And there's going to be lots of noise around Kelleher. Chelsea, I mean, you've seen the state of their keeper options. So Chelsea will be sniffing around Kelleher. There's been some talk that they're willing to go as high as 40 million. But then you see the stuff around Alisson and journalists reporting that Liverpool are being open to the idea of selling him. I'd be very surprised if we sold 2 of them. It would just be an unnecessary risk to move both of them on, especially considering the unknown side of Georgie Mamardashvili. You know, he hasn't played in the Prem yet. So apparently the Mirror are saying that Real Madrid manager Carlo Ancelotti is keen on signing Everton defender Jarrad Branthwaite in the summer. I don't think they'd have the money to pay Everton what they'd want for Jarrad Branthwaite. I think the likes of a Hato or, I don't know, maybe Saliba, because he's been linked with them as well. Yep, you're right about Alisson's contract, Carl. It is 2027, so there's no panic on that. Alisson's contract's 2027. Luis Diaz's contract's 2027. So Liverpool have time on their side with those 2. Are you going to watch Better BF Bivol? Yeah, I am. I'm recording them. I bought the box office event. I'm recording the fights. I watched some of the earlier ones. The Callum Smith fight. What a fight, by the way. What a fight. Well done, Mundo. Absolute war in there with Joshua Boazzi. So, quick thing. There's 3,100 people in the chat. If you can take 1 second to hit that like button for me, it would mean the world and would really help us out. So the poll asking, would you take Matheus Cunha at Liverpool? So far with 1,600 and so votes, it's a landslide, but I'm going to let it go up to 2,000 votes. So if you haven't voted, please do. Ibu's contract next year. That's a real worry, Harry, definitely. Again, though, we do have confirmation that at least the club have offered Ibu a contract. Now, we know it hasn't been signed, but yeah, I can't see a world where the club want to move Ibu on. Why would you? He's been brilliant. Yes, he has picked up some knocks now and again, but for such a centre-back, that young centre-back, and he is young in centre-back terms, he's not even into his prime yet. So it would be madness not to look at him and think he deserves a new deal. Right, I want to ask a few little questions around centre-back options once this poll is done. So stay with us because I'm going to need your help. I'm going to put up 4 centre-back options and I want to know which one would be your top option. So we'll finish this poll in a second. We're about 1,780 votes into it now. So quick couple of 100 votes on that one, and then we'll get into the centre-back options. Because I want to know who your top targets would be. Is it this one? Yeah, so if you haven't seen this, and journalists, if this is being clipped up and you're watching it back, I hope you take this bit of banter in the good nature in which it was intended. It isn't an insult to you gentlemen. That was last week's insult. This is just a bit of banter. So any of the journalists that cover Liverpool, that are in the press box, that may be a little bit cold, if they'd like a free Where's the Money John hoodie to wear in the press box, we've got you covered. Just get in touch with us and we'll send one over to you. All that we ask is that you take a little photo in the press box with it, just to, you know, show that you're enjoying your Where's the Money John hoodie. And somebody asked earlier on, what does WTMJ mean? It means Where's the Money John? Right, let me just end this poll. Right, so I'm too impatient to wait for the 2,000. 80% of people said they take Matheus Cunha. Why is the merchandise in dollars, not euro? That's Spring, the company that do it. So the reason we chose that company is it's integrated fully into YouTube. So I get what I know what you're saying. You can change it, I believe it somewhere, but it just makes it really easy for us. So it means shipping is taken care of by them and they have all the rates sorted out for shipping. We make absolutely next to nothing from every item we sell, but it's not about the money for us. It's just about a community thing, really. You know, even for my own hoodie, I ordered a white one and I had to pay 50 quid for it, like. And even on that, we make about €4.50 on a 50 quid hoodie. That's how much the markup is for Spring. But again, it isn't about the money. Right, so we sell Alisson Becker to a rival who would solidify my FSG out. I would fly over from New Zealand and protest. I wouldn't say we'd sell him in the Premier League, Benjamin. I'd say if we were to sell him, he gets sold abroad. You know, maybe a little stint in Spain, I don't know. I get the impression the goalkeeper was signed so we can sell Ali or Kelleher. He's not coming in to be number 3. Oh, 100% he's not. But the question I was saying, Mark, was why are we seeing talk of maybe Kelleher and Alisson moving on? Because that would just be... I can't imagine that would happen. You know, but for Kelleher to stay, will you either lose him for nothing then in a year's time, or you convince him to sign a new deal and you let him and Mamardashvili really battle it out? And I've got to say, if that option was on the table, I'd take it tomorrow. Because I understand some concerns around Alisson picking up some injuries. And nobody will say anything other than Alisson is incredible. Best goalkeeper of my life. So at Liverpool, love the man to bits. But I think the common sense play would be to keep Kelleher. Because he's younger. You know, having him and Mamardashvili, I think we would have an incredible goalkeeping department. Right, so... centre-back poll time. So give me some names for the centre-back. So we'll start with Haddo. Then we'll go on to Huijsen. I need 2 more options at centre-backs that you think are realistic and that you'd like to see at Liverpool. So obviously, I'd throw in Branthwaite tomorrow. But we know Everton aren't telling us Jarrad Branthwaite. Luke Haber's a good shout. That's another name that's been strongly linked. So one more space. It's not going to be Nkapie. It's not going to be Van de Ven. I mean ones that are actually potentially signable. Nkapie doesn't work. He's a 3 centre-back system player. Same with Diamande. Hanko, thank you. Hanko's an interesting one. Murillo. I have to decide between Hanko and Murillo. Who's more realistic there? Hanko or Murillo? Oh, that's a tough one, man. Hanko or Murillo? I'm trying to figure out which one is more achievable. I'm going to say Hanko. And hear me out. The reason I'm going to say Hanko is I think Murillo signed a new deal at Forest. They're at the very least going to get Champions League European football of some type next season. So I think they're going to keep hold of him and they won't listen to offers. So we'll go with these 4. And look, we can throw in other names for a second poll if you want. But there's 4 up there now. And if you want me to put in another poll in a little bit, no problem, we can do that. We're here tonight to have a bit of fun. Mark, what did you say to me? Could do up 2 polls and then a final. Yeah, do you know what? We're going to do that. We're going to do what Mark suggested. Consider this the semi-final. So the top 2 names in this will go into the final. And then we'll have another semi-final with 4 more names. So when we finish this poll, we'll go with 4 more. And I'll put in some of the names you've mentioned there. I mean, Bombito, can somebody tell me who that is? I know you've put it in quite a bit, mate. I see it. You can stop writing it now. Who is he? Sorry, I've misspelled Hanko's name. That's on me. My apologies. No offence was intended there. That's just Craig being dumb. My apologies on that. I know there's a C before the K. So, again, we'll do a semi-final. Top 2 in this, go into the final, and then we'll go for another 4. I see Araujo's name in there, right, from Stephen O'Reilly. There is a release clause in Araujo's contract that's only valid for the first 10 days of the transfer window, which I think is about €60 million or €62 million. We covered it the other day. It is interesting that it's only valid though for the first 10 days of the summer window. What do you think? What do you reckon on Chiesa? Said Sam. Sam, I reckon that he wasn't an Arne Slot signing, is what I reckon, because he's not giving him a look in. So I think he's trying to make it clear, without being any way disrespectful to Chiesa, because I would play him and give him minutes. You would probably play him and give him minutes. But it doesn't feel like the manager wanted him. But we don't know that, you know. I'm only answering the question because, you know, you asked me for my opinion. I'm trying to give it to you. But, you know, I'm sure if Arne Slot was asked, he'd say he wanted him. He was an opportunistic signing. Yeah, and that's not a bad thing. You know, I think Liverpool can flip him and make money. You know, no problem there. But I would like to see him get minutes. I really would, because I think he'd fight to try and convince. So yeah, I'd love to see him get some minutes, because what have we got to lose at this point? You know, the other night, as an example, when we were trying to get the winner against Villa, I couldn't understand why we didn't give 10 minutes to Chiesa at the end to try and just spark his career at Liverpool into life. Bombito's a Ligue 1 player from Nice. He's Canadian. He's only been at Nice for a season. He can play left back, centre back, defensive mid. Cool. Mark playing a blinder here for me. Thank you, Mark, in the background. Good question, Tom. Do I think we'll win tomorrow? Yeah. Do you know what, man? I do. I think I've grown in confidence. And by the way, the bookies have us more likely to win. They have City at 2-1, or at least last I looked at it, to win at home. So yeah, I do. But do you know what? Whatever happens tomorrow, my confidence that we've won this league title is not going to go away, because it's still another game chalked off. We'd have 11 to go. Let's say, for argument's sake, we lost tomorrow and won on Wednesday. Then we've 10 games to go. Arsenal would have 5 points to make up if they'd won the games in hand. Arsenal have to come to Anfield, and I think they're dropping more points. You know, I'd be very surprised if Arsenal come away with a win on Wednesday against Forest away. But let's wait and see. The reason I say about tomorrow is I just don't know what to expect from City. You know, are we going to see a City that's sulking, that looks slow and cumbersome? Or are we going to see a City feeling like they've got a point to prove? Let's wait and see. But, even if we picked up a point at the Etihad tomorrow and moved on, that'd be then 9 points clear of Arsenal. We'd have, I think 8 or 10 goals on them in goal difference, and then they'd have a game to make up. So that would bring them into 6, and we'd have to lose 2 of the last 11, and they'd have to win everything. It's just not going to happen. Today was the day. Today was the day that Arsenal, in my opinion, absolutely handed us the league title. Right, so we need 1,000 votes before we move on to the semi-final. So if you haven't voted in our centre-back poll number 1, we're asking you who's the one you want most at Liverpool. So we've had Hoyson, Lukeba and Hanko, spelled incorrectly, and my apologies again on that. So once we get to 1,000 votes, we'll take the top 2, and then we'll do another centre-back poll, and then we'll have a final. Do we play Newcastle at home? Yes, Barry, we do. Wednesday, my man. And our kickoff is 8:15 for that one. Arsenal play Notts Forest at 7:30, but we play at 8:15. Hex said Arsenal have got tougher fixtures than West Ham at home to go as well. Exactly. Forest, Chelsea, United. If I'm Arsenal and I'm Mikel Arteta right now, I'd never publicly say I'm focusing on the Champions League, but that's what I'd be doing. I'd be resting up players that are in any way doubtful to have them fit for the Champions League games, because I think that's Arsenal's best chance now. They're not catching us. They won't catch us. Their best hope is to try and salvage what would be still an incredible season if they manage to win a Champions League. I mean, I don't think they will, but you'd have to say, if we won the league, and let's say we managed to win the the Carabao Cup, and Arsenal, in some mad world, won the Champions League, I think both sets of fans can be very, 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 very happy with that campaign. But I just don't see them doing it. Tanya said, sell Chiesa, 150k per week on the bench isn't right. Then the wage bill's a massive thing. It is a lot of money, you're right. Like 7.5 odd million quid a year there. It's going to be a tough ask against PSG. It's a tough one to gauge for me. You look at what they've done against Brest in the playoff. Absolutely, wiped the floor with them. 10-0 on aggregate. Couldn't be any more definitive. But for them to knock us out, I think that they have to take a couple of goals lead to Anfield. And I don't know if this PSG team are good enough to beat us by a couple of goals in Paris if we show up. But, it is, as I've always said, I find this the most difficult competition to predict, because when you're in the knockout stages of a competition, a red card in one game, let's say we picked up a red card in the first 20 minutes of a game, that could change your whole Champions League campaign. So it is certainly a more difficult opponent than I would have expected in the round of 16. But the second leg being at Anfield, I think, is a huge thing. And I think we've enough experience in Europe now to navigate through. But it won't be straightforward. I absolutely understand where people are coming from on that one. Robbo against Dembele is crazy. Look, Dembele's in great form, but he ain't no Mohamed Salah. So when people are going to say to me, Craig, worry about Dembele, worry about them dealing with Mohamed Salah. We sometimes as Liverpool fans, I feel like we forget what we have and forget the calibre of player we have. So I think there was a piece on from Brentford that it was Visa and Mbeumo were both asked best player in the world, and they both wrote down Salah. You can see the calibre of the player we have. You can see the aura that the man carries. So, PSG will be certainly looking to make a plan for him. Right, we're nearly at 1,000 votes, so we need 80 more, and then we'll move on to centre-back option number 2. By the way, thank you all for coming in tonight and your Saturday night to have a chat with me. It's such an unexpected day for me as a Liverpool fan. I did not see Arsenal not winning that game today. And do you know what? Even up until the last 5 minutes, even down to 10 men, I fully expected they'd rescue a point from somewhere. I'm filled full of pride at the minute more than anything. I'm so proud of our group. Because nobody gave us a sniff. Nobody, including most of us, let's be honest. You know, I don't remember too many of us thinking, and by the way, S Games, thank you, much love to you in Kosovo as well, my friend. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate your support. Yeah, I didn't give us a chance to win the league this year at the start of the year. I thought if we could get third or second, maybe. But I was thinking in my head third. I expected the title race to be between City and Arsenal. I did. But it hasn't worked out that way. And in seasons like this, you want to capitalise. And we are. So, enjoy it. And if we can have a good summer on top of that and keep our star players, wow. Next season, I think the Premier League is going to have one hell of a title race. Because you'll have an improved City, unless they're found guilty of charges and maybe loads of points robbed off them. Robbed off them is the incorrect word. Taken off them is a fairer word. You've got Arsenal, who are not going to be stupid enough to not sign a centre forward this summer. And then you've got the likes of Villa, Chelsea, Newcastle still progressing as well. Some delusional Arsenal fans believe they were robbed. Where? I don't know, Ian, but hang on. Where is it? Nope. Not that one. That one? Yeah, no, not that one. That one? Yeah, there you go. So, the deserve to win meter shows Arsenal with a 41% probability of winning the game. But they didn't. So, you know. Did you see the Paddy Power bit on Arsenal, by the way? Did you see the new Paddy Power video they put up about Arsenal? Well, they brought in a guy and they said that he was a leading scientist and that his task was to try and find one game or so where Arsenal fans have said that they deserve to lose and the better team won. And it was absolutely priceless. It was brilliant. Craig, do you think Man City will get top 4? Yes, I do. I think they'll finish third, in all honesty. Max Jones, how are you, my friend? Appreciate you being in. Right, let's end this poll. We've had 1,000 votes, thank you. So, Huijsen and Hatto are through to the final. Now we go centre-back poll number 2. And I need names for this one, folks, so come on, throw me in some suggestions. Right, Gay seems a reasonable one because we had been linked to him a bit. Alright, so that's one. I mean, I feel like I have to put Murillo in it because I didn't put him in the first one. Although I don't really. Every fibre of my body believes they're not selling Murillo, but Bastoni I've not even seen one link with. Genuinely, before I put the poll up, has anyone seen a link to Bastoni in Liverpool? Because I haven't. Not one. Bramer moved, if I'm not mistaken, Vitor. I think he moved somewhere. Who else we got? I'm just trying to find realistic ones here in the chat. Branthwaite I would take tomorrow, but I don't think Everton would sell to us. Right, there's been a few Schlotterbecks, so I'm going to throw him in. One more space. Right, who we got for the last one, lads? Come on, we've one more spot. Why are you putting in Alphonso Davies, who's just signed a new contract at Bayern Munich? You know, Alphonso Davies go nowhere, just signed a new contract. We already put... Who was the other one that somebody was saying there? We already put Lukeba in the first one, Steve, and he didn't make it through the first one, so no point in putting him in the second one again. Ooh. I'm torn between Colwill Do you know what? I'm going to put Nkapie in because there was enough people asking from that I feel like an asshole if I don't. One sec. Excuse me if I've mispronounced or I misspelled these, but I put Nkapie in because there was enough people shouting his name in the chat that I think it's worth a shout. Levi Colwill, by the way, I would absolutely be open to, but I don't think that's going to happen either. Van de Ven isn't going to come, Ryan. You know, he's too injury prone. I wouldn't feel comfortable with Liverpool signing Mickey Van de Ven. He's had way too many injuries. So I just don't see that as being realistic. A great player with pace to burn, but I just don't see it. So, one thing I've noticed from a lot of your replies are, I think a lot of people feel that it's going to be a Premier League centre-back. You know, if I'm looking at a lot of the comments in the chat, a lot of people mentioning players like Van Heck, Botman, Murillo. A lot of people feeling centre-back is, or excuse me, a Premier League centre-back is likely. Upamecano, are you mad? No, don't want Upamecano. Have you not seen the state of Bayern Munich's defence? Don't want Upamecano. Antonio Silva's an interesting one, George. It's gone very quiet around him and a move. Craig, have you seen the new Premier League ball? That's why Arsenal lost the match. You know, Zach, you're right. That damn ball being too white and round and leathery again. Kim Min-jae is awful. Awful. Like, I would cry if we signed him. He's been shocking. Jonathan Tah, isn't he meant to be going to Bayern Munich? I don't follow German media too much, but if I'm not mistaken, Jonathan Tah, was he not supposed to be going to Bayern in the summer? Contracts being signed means nothing when money's dangled in front of clubs. It does mean something. It means we'd have to pay more. And I just don't see that being the case. But look, we already have 2 through to the final in Huijsen and Haddo. And it looks like there's 2 leaders in this one. So keep voting away and then we'll put the final up. And we'll go for who you think the most likely one is to come to Liverpool. So here's a question for you. Let's talk midfield while people are voting away on that. Give me an option in midfield you'd like to see Liverpool sign this summer. And I don't mean to replace Ryan Gravenberch, obviously. I mean to complement Ryan Gravenberch. So give me a name that you'd like to see brought in that's realistic in midfield to give us an option to give Ryan Gravenberch a breather or to play alongside him on occasion. So Angelo Stiller is another one that has signed a new contract, but I believe that contract has a release clause in it as well. But Angelo Stiller did sign the new deal in the last couple of months. But that, again, doesn't rule it out fully. Just means we'd have to pay more. Baleba. Baleba would be a great shout, but 115 million? You know, I read a piece the other day. I'm going to open it up here in my notes. 1 second. I'm going to get my notes open here because there was a piece about Carlos Baleba the other day. Where is it? There we go. So, Gimme Sport did a piece where they said Liverpool are looking to beat Manchester City to the signing of Brighton's Carlos Baleba this summer. An offer of at least £115 million would be required to stand any chance of reaching an agreement. Zaire Emery is an interesting one as well. Zaire Emery is a name that's come up recently. Certainly would have the legs, from what I understand, because again, I don't watch too much French football. But if you're looking for somebody, and again, let's look at Arna. And Arna was asked, "What do you look for when signing a player?" So let me know if these sound like the type of player that Zaire Emery is. So key things you look for in a player, and Arna Slot answered quality, I think it's very important for a player to change directions fast, have a good work rate, then ability and quality on the ball. If you don't have quality on the ball, you can forget playing here at Liverpool. So we know Arne Slot wants a player with quality on the ball, with, I guess, press resistance as well, and legs. Legs, I would throw in there. Somebody who has the engine, like Jones, Soboslai, McAllister. Right, keep voting away in the poll, by the way, and then we will have the final. And again, if you haven't hit that subscribe button or drop the like, please do. Adam Wharton's a great shout as well. So I'm going to read through some of the names. Adam Wharton, which is a great shout. João Neves, come on now, Mark. Is he not over in Saudi, safe in football? Tonali is a show for Mohammed. Again, can you imagine what Newcastle would want for Sandro Tonali? Matt Wiefer, Hulmand. Did he move somewhere, Hulmand? I haven't really kept track of him. Is he still at Sporting Lisbon or has he moved somewhere? Ederson. Well, you know how much I like Ederson, mate. Zaire Emery, João Gomez, Camavinga. Again, we don't sign players from Real Madrid. Is that João Gomes? MS Levi, the guy from Wolves. He's certainly been linked. Reinders. There's a few names as well. Yeah, look, AC Milan might be forced into some sales this summer. They're currently outside the European places in Serie A. They were knocked out of the Champions League, as you know, by Feyenoord. So I think you're going to see some departures from AC Milan this summer. But look, if you offered me anybody right now, Baleba would be near the top of that list for me. He would. I don't know enough about Zaire Emery, but enough people that do watch a lot more of him can see it being a decent fit. But look, I would take Baleba because at least he's got Premier League experience. But we're not paying that money, are we? We're not going to pay 150 like Caicedo money for Baleba. So we were watching the game today, the Chelsea Villa game, and I was in and out of the Discord group chatting away with them. And a conversation came up about Caicedo. And it kind of got to the question where we asked, would you still take Caicedo if the whole situation happened again? Or do you think Gravenberch has been the blessing we needed and it's, you know, meant that the Caicedo thing was unnecessary, unneeded anymore? Because I still really like Caicedo as a player and I stand over what I said. I think if we had have gotten him in, I think we'd still be where we are. I think we'd still be doing really, really well. Gravenberch is more well-rounded, more suited to the way Arne plays, but I'd take Caicedo tomorrow in a heartbeat. Mr. H and friends, thank you, bro. Best Liverpool channel on YouTube. Honest, genuine, and not scared to say what is needed to be said. Thank you, Craig, and your team. Man, that's lovely. Thank you. Sometimes, you know, saying what I think needs to be said gets me in trouble, but you know, I'll always promise to try and be as honest as I can about what I see happening at our club. But thank you, man, for your support. That means a lot. So it seems most people don't want him. Wouldn't have taken Caicedo. Wow. So let me throw a different aim in at you then. Would you take Lavia now to come in and complement Gravenberch? If Chelsea decided they need to sell Lavia, let's say, would you be a willing buyer, or would injuries put you off now? No, all no's for Lavia. Nice. I like the consistency. Yeah, fair. Right, let's talk about Darwin Núñez. Do you still think Darwin can have a big part to play for the remainder of the season? So answer me that one. Darwin Núñez, the remainder of the season, if you're Arne, are you giving him opportunities to come in and help out for the remainder of the season? Put it this way. my answer would be, I'd have no problem bringing him on if we were winning a game and we wanted to rest Jota, or we were winning a game and we wanted to rest Diaz or Szoboszlai or anyone else. But I wouldn't be bringing him on in a situation where we need to win a game. That I wouldn't do after the Wolves and Aston Villa performances, for me. And I'm not just talking about the miss. I mean general demeanour of the man. Because what we always got from Darwin, come hell or high water, was graft. 100% effort, work rate. That was never in question with Darwin. We questioned quality, composure, other stuff. But work rate and effort was never in doubt. But we seen a bit more sulky. And I just don't think we can lean into that. So for me, I would only bring him on if we want to, let's say, rest up Diogo Jota for the last 20. And we were winning a game by a couple of goals. Adam said my Darwin divorce started with Plymouth. Craig, answer me this. Comes off the bench tomorrow and scores. Brilliant. Look, I'm not an idiot, man. If Darwin scores, of course I'm going to be happy. You know, I would rather him not be playing important games because I don't really have that trust. But, you know, I'm not going to say anything horrendous about the lad. I'm not that way built. But for me, that was the last straw. The Aston Villa performance. And not just the miss, but all of it. And including the lack of acknowledgement to the travelling cop. I've lost my confidence in him, said Ben. He can be a rotation player, said Jurgen Klopp. Núñez should be shown the door come June. Oh, he will be. You know, that will be happening. I can't see any world where Darwin's still a Liverpool player next season. Chiesa instead of Darwin. That's exactly what I'd do, mate. I'm 100% with you on that one. Right, we only need 7 more votes till we finish up this and we can get to the final. 3. Couple more votes and then we can do it. What about Delap? Ooh, that's a really interesting shout. So Delap, I don't know if he's ready just yet, but I think Delap is... I wouldn't be surprised if you see Brighton signing Delap. Strikes me as a very Brighton type of move. Maybe they move on Evan Ferguson fully and invest in Delap if Ipswich or when Ipswich go down. That's my show for this one. Right, so I'm going to get the final poll up for the centre backs. So we had, who were the options here for the semis that came through? Murillo and Gay. Okay. And it was Huijsen. Oh, 1 second. Okay. And then the last one was Hato. Right, so the final of what centre back do you want at Liverpool? Murillo, Huijsen, Gay and Hato are the ones that made it through. Right, vote away and we'll see who the centre-back that Liverpool fans, in my community anyway, want the most. By the way, I've now convinced myself I'm going to be right about Brighton going in for Delap. Chris, congratulations on 300k subs, mate. Today decided it's a title. We went down to 10 men against Fulham and got a draw, yet Arsenal couldn't today. So, I agree with you, Chris. And we had a poll at the start of the stream with over 2,000 votes in it. And we asked people, do you think today was the day that we won the title? And we said, do you think Liverpool have won the title now? And 75% of people said yes. So yeah, I think most people are with you there. And thank you, Chris, as well, man. I still can't believe we hit 300,000 subscribers. Genuinely still shocked to look up at the corner and see the numbers. Heavy Metal D said, I have to say yes due to how much I think he causes chaos. Yes, the miss was dreadful and his attitude at the end was horrible, but I still can't hate. I understand that. There's a lot there's a lot to love about Darwin. You know, I got bitten by the Darwin love bug when he came to the club as well. I really wanted him to succeed because he plays with his heart on his sleeve, and I'm a person who can relate to that. But that game, that was just too much for me. Back off the Wolves game as well, because, you know, I mentioned this a couple of times, but John Aldridge was commenting after the Wolves game in his piece on the Echo that he didn't like what he'd seen from Darwin when he came on against Wolves. And then he kind of compounded that with an even worse display against Villa. And again, I'm not just talking about the miss. Misses happen. Everybody can miss a sitter. Like, it happens. But even after that, you know, offside again, dwindling in possession and passing the ball straight out of play, not going over and applauding the travelling cop. There's just too many things there that make me just feel like his race is ran. Thoughts on Kudus from West Ham? Too inconsistent is my thoughts on Kudus. So I've watched them at times and I've thought, wow, what a player. And then I've watched him at other times and I thought, where's the work rate gone? He just didn't look like he was tracking back as much. Didn't look like he had the same spark. So between that, of course, the idea of maybe losing another player then again for a future AFCON, I'd probably stay away from Kudus, to be honest. Although I can absolutely understand why people would suggest him as a name. You know, he's certainly done decently in the Premier League. Hayden said, Craig, it's happening. Imagine the summer with Isak, Tomori, Kirkes and Zubamendi while extending the contracts. I don't want Tomori. Wouldn't even be in my top 10, to be honest with you, mate. But Isak, Kirkes and Zubamendi. I keep forgetting that Zubamendi's still likely to move somewhere in the summer. And can Arsenal really make a play now for Zubamendi again, knowing how much the lack of a striker really cost them this season? You know, I know that they want to move on. What's his face? What's his name again? The guy that came from Atleti. Fucking hell, what's the last name again? Arsenal midfielder. Again, drawing a blank here. Thomas Partey, yes, thank you. Thomas Partey. They're going to move him on, but I still think they're going to have to put all their eggs in the striker basket. Adam, thank you so much, mate. How did Arsenal do in the deserve to win meter? Don't you worry about that, mate. I've got you covered. There you are. Darwin will still contribute this season. He'll get an odd goal and assist. I feel he'll work hard. I'm sure Arna gave him a good talking to. Yeah, look, if he comes on and his attitude changes and he starts doing what he used to do, I'm with you. But there's the deserve to win meter, mate. Just in case you're worried that it wasn't doing the rounds. Don't worry. It's there straight away. If Salah goes, would you go for him? We should go for Mbeumo, said Ethan's bro. So, I like Brian Mbeumo. I like him even more when I realised he was only 24. I thought Brian Mbeumo was about 27, 28. But I would take him in a heartbeat if the worst came to the worst and we lost Salah. I think Mbeumo is incredibly underrated. Premier League proven. Work rate, phenomenal. Battling abilities, phenomenal. I'd take him tomorrow. But I'd rather keep Mo, obviously. But, you know, in a worst case scenario, I'd take Mbeumo. Yeah, I would. So thank you. Your humour is absolutely amazing. To the people like Ventani and Joe Wilkinson who said, unnamed footballer in his 30s. Unnamed Premier League footballer. I see you. Well played. You know, because I can't say that out loud, you know. I can't say what we're all thinking because, you know, I don't want to get myself in some legal trouble. But yes, that was the Arsenal player I was trying to think of. Well played. The unnamed footballer in his 30s. Jack Grealish is going to be sold, by the way, it looks like in the summer. There's a few pieces to suggest City have had enough. But the question there is, right, who's going to buy Jack Grealish and for how much money? Because they were stupid enough to pay £100 million for him. And nobody that I spoke to thought that that was going to be a good fit. because he just stop-start too much. He draws fouls and it just ruins the flow. And I never expected Grealish to work at Man City. But, you know, will he go back to Villa? Do you reckon that could happen? Could Villa put up enough money to tempt? And would they want him back at Villa? Jeremy said, "Seen Stefan Bajcetic's highlights on loan, juicy stuff." Oh mate, I haven't forgotten about old Stefan, don't worry. If he comes back in and Arne wants him to be that second midfielder to Ryan Gravenberch, I won't complain about it at all, I promise you. I don't necessarily think we have to go to the transfer market to bring in a midfielder to complement alongside Gravenberch and Maka. If Arne makes it very clear that that's the plan, no complaints from me, because I believe in Stefan Bajcetic. So if the plan for next season is no midfielder brought in, and he's brought in to you, I have no problem with that at all. What I don't want to happen is us to be told that, and then Bajcetic not get opportunities, like we're seeing with Chiesa and Endo pretty much, and Elliott to some extent. So yeah, look, I have every faith in the ability of Stefan Bajcetic as a footballer. John, I can't bring up super stickers, but appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, John, for your very generous $20 super sticker, my man. Appreciate you. Can't bring them up on screen, unfortunately, but appreciate you, John. Thank you. Danny said, "Hey Craig, mate, maybe Stefan Bajcetic will come back and complement Ryan next season." 100%. So let me ask that after this poll for the last half hour, because I'm going to stay on till 10 o'clock. I know I shouldn't stream tonight, but I'm staying on till 10 o'clock, so stay with me. And then I'm going to ask you about Stefan Bajcetic, so stick with us. And again, thank you, Danny. Ruzba said, "Buy Liam Delap as a striker option." I just don't think we could take the punt on him after what happened with Darwin, if you get me. If we hadn't had the whole Darwin thing and we were just looking for a striker and we were willing to roll the dice a bit, I can see the pedigree in the lap. You know, we came through City's academy. Obviously, his father, professional footballer as well, scored some very good goals in that Ipswich team. But my guess was that Brighton might use the Evan Ferguson-shaped hole in their squad if they move him on fully to bring in him. That would be the most Brighton thing to do, in my opinion. Ipswich go down, Brighton buy Delap, and then sell him on in 2 seasons for an obscene amount of money. Right, so, it's not even close in the centre-back poll, by the way. There is one absolute bona fide favourite that the Anfield Agenda community wants, but we need another 200 votes before we can close it off. And I think you've made the right decision as well. Me, myself, and I said, "Just jumped on, so glad Arsenal bottled, makes me feel so much more relaxed." Yep, I went from being a bag of nerves about tomorrow to being very relaxed about it. And my thought process is, if I'm feeling this way, I hope the players can go out the Etihad tomorrow and play with a bit of swagger and play like the pressure's off a bit. Because now we've got a bit more breathing room again. And even if the very worst came to the worst and we were to lose, which I don't think we will, but if we did, I'd back us to back that up with a win against Newcastle and still keep that 5-point gap with 10 to go. And they ain't making that up, because I think they're going to drop points over the next 2 weeks as well. You know, I'd be very impressed if Arsenal can go to Forest and get a win. I'd be really impressed. Loads of people about Cunha as well. Look, I said this, even though I may have had my little fallout with David Lynch, I still occasionally look at his work as well, because it's my job to make sure I keep track of journalists and what they're writing about. And he did a piece the other day, kind of, again, acknowledging the suitability, probably, of Matheus Cunha. Now, didn't say we were definitely signing him or anything, but acknowledged the suitability of him. And I can see it, and I don't disagree with any of you who talk about Cunha. I did a while ago, but that was my own ignorance. As I've watched and learned and understood how he might complement their system, I can see it. Why did you and David Lynch fall out? So it wasn't really a fallout as such. It was more, I was calling out the lads from the Echo, and he didn't like that because he's friends with them. And I understand that. But then he decided that because I called out the lads from the Echo, that it would be probably better if he stopped working with us. And I found that a complete overcompensation. Because in the same message, he acknowledged that I'd only ever been professional with him, never put him in any compromising positions on the channel or anything. And I found it a little bit... I found it like he was waiting for an excuse. Because we had no problem until the transfer window came about. And then all of a sudden, when I became a bit more vocal about journalists not calling out the lack of spending or the ambition of the owners, I think then it became a bit too much and it became too uncomfortable for him, and he decided it'd be best not to do stuff together. And I had no problem with that until he started blocking us. And that, to me, was like, fuck you. You know what? I'd done nothing on the man to deserve that. I've only ever treated him well, paid him fairly, paid him quickly. You know, put new eyes on his channel. And I didn't deserve that, to be honest. So if he had just decided to walk away and not start blocking us and all, I just think it's completely unnecessary. But it also let me know one thing. And this isn't aimed at him, but it let me know that I'm never going to be accepted. Ever. By the established media. Because I'm too outspoken. And they don't want to put their own positions in jeopardy by even acknowledging that they work with me. Now imagine how that feels to me as a Liverpool fan. That I'm so toxic because I asked for some more spending from the owners. And that's it. Not because I'm slagging players publicly or their wives or their families or just that. That's enough to make it too uncomfortable that you run away. And I wouldn't do that to someone. But it is what it is, you know. It is what it is. I felt hurt by it, in all honesty, because you know I thought I was very professional with them. So yeah, it's a sad one, but fuck it, it is what it is. I'm not going to stop being who I am. And if I think that these journalists need to be called out for not calling the owners out, fuck it, I'm going to call them out, and I don't care. And I think history will show I was right. Let's have a look at this centre-back poll. We've had 1,000 votes, so the centre-back that the Anfield Agenda audience wants more than any other that we've mentioned anyway tonight is Dean Huijsen of Bournemouth, which is a great shout. Now, people have said to me, Craig, so we're on your side. But are you, though? I hope so. I mean, I've mentioned this before. And I want to make this really clear, because I'm sure a journalist will get a clip of this at some point. I have nothing personal against these people. I know they might think otherwise, because I've called them cowardly, but I feel they are. But I understand why they are what they are. I understand that they have to play a different game to me. They have to play the game where they can't really be as blunt as me about the owners. But I hope they know it isn't personal. Like, I think they're cowards. Maybe that is personal to some people. But I feel I'm right. And the reason I feel I'm right is because I've spoken to these people on and off camera, other than the Echo boys. Don't know any of them. And I know some of their thoughts. And I know certainly that they share and acknowledge the frustrations many of us have had. So to not say it, I don't understand. These are educated, intelligent people. I refuse to believe that they don't understand that they're digging a hole for themselves by not acknowledging the amount of fans who want the owners to spend more. And not only that, they start ridiculing. Now, David Lynch doesn't really do this, to be fair to him, but they start ridiculing fans on social media who dare call out owners or dare want ambition and mock them and call them Chelsea fans or FIFA generation fans. And I feel like I have to step in and have their back, because I know that that's not what most of the Liverpool fans who are in the position that they don't like FSG, I know most of it is about wanting realistic spending, not the club to be put in jeopardy. So that was the straw that broke the camel's back with me. I just thought, no, they're not doing it. They're not going to do what they did to me, to everybody else on social media, which is undermine them, ridicule them, and try to turn the tide against them. I think, and I hope, they underestimated the support we have. Because I know from my live shows, I know from chatting with you guys, that more people agree with what I'm saying. And not because it's me, but the point behind it. And I hope you guys have my back. I believe that you do. But again, I want you to know, none of this is an act. None of this is me being argumentative for the sake of views or anything. Everything I say is my genuine 100% hand on heart feelings about the club. And it's not easy to go up against everybody on your own. You know, when you got Dominic King on there having pops back as well, which is his right to do. It's not easy to do all of this on your own with no backing, no financial muscle, no other outlet, no other fan channels are out and run into my support. It's just been me trying to stand my ground, to speak up for fan content and Liverpool fans who are, I'm fed up of seeing them knocked down. Dom said you're a helmet. Fair enough. You said that to me, to my face, I'd knock him out. That's the difference between me and Dominic King. He'll sit behind his keyboard and say I'm a helmet. You said that to my face, he'd be picking his teeth up. That's the difference between me and him. And the difference between me and him is, I don't need his approval or give a fuck about his approval. And the worst thing he could have ever done was showing me that I got into his head a little bit. Because I didn't even remember he was a football journalist when I talked about that. So, I don't care. Let him say what he wants. Ultimately, I'm surprised they can stand up without a spine. So, fuck him. And again, he doesn't know me and he calls me a helmet. Never spent a minute with me, never spoken with me. Just doesn't like that I'm calling out his fellow journalists. And I get that. But like I said, don't give a fuck what he thinks about me. And see, that's it. That there, right there, is a difference, right? He's just said, now I'm taking you for granted, he said, he's a helmet. I haven't called him out in personal, have I? Have I commented anything other than calling them cowardly? Haven't called him anything. So, I ain't going to stop. And if he wants to try make me stop, have a go. Klopp documentary is days away. Are we ready? Is it? Nice. I've been looking forward for that one. Honestly, it felt like... I like that they've changed it a little bit though, haven't they? There's something to argue about spending other people's money of your favourite club. They are substantive arguments to make without being personal. Exactly. Craig, were you at home farm match this morning? No, I wasn't, Fergus. No, mate, I wasn't. I was in the Laba this morning, to be honest with you. I had a good lie-in today. I needed it. It's been a hectic week. Right. I need a striker poll for the last 20 minutes, but without putting Isak in it. Because I don't want to tilt the pot. I know Isak's going to be the answer. Finty said, I got your back, and so was a lot of us there, boy. Again, thank you. But like I've said before, Anybody that thinks they can slag me off as a human being without having ever spoken to me, I find weird, because I wouldn't dare to know any of them personally. I comment on the fact that they don't stand up to the owners and speak up for the fans. That's it. Never get personal with it. Never talk about appearances, money, any of that stuff. I just stick to the facts. And the facts to me are that they're not doing their jobs. It's as simple as that. And if they get personal with it, that's on them. But I'm not a hard man to find. Right, the poll, ladies and gents. Let's get cracking. One sec. Sorry to sign. Right, so some options here. One sec. Nah, Lookman's not going in the list, lads. Come on. Chimas is already gone, mate. He's already been... he's gone to Brighton, I think, Chimas. If my memory's right, I think he's gone to Brighton, but he has been signed. He just sent him back on loan. Ekitike, there's an interesting one. Thank you. Oh, my spelling's atrocious, lads. Yeah, my spelling's... Somebody help me out with the spelling of Ekitike, please. Mateta? No, that would be another mistake from Liverpool if we brought in Mateta. I feel like he's a good player, but not for us, if you get me. Like, I'm not trying to say Mateta hasn't got the Premier League calibre. He does, but he's exactly the wrong type of forward for us, in my opinion. Sorry, still trying to spell this. Eketike. Eketike. How does that look wrong on my end then? Eketike. Ah. Okay, that's why. Oh, lads, there's so many... These are all spelled differently. He's killing me here. Ekitike. Right, I need one more name. We need one more name for the list. It's not going to be Gyökeres, so let's not waste our time with that one. Sesko's on the list, Cunha's on the list, Ekitike's on the list. The only reason Alexander Isak isn't on this list is because he would win it. And I know that. And that was the point. We most of us want him. He's number one. Gittins is a wide player. I'm talking about through the centre here. So no Mbeumo, no Gittins. They're wide players. That's a different conversation. Openda. Right. Okay, I've one spot left. Do you want Openda or Jonathan David? So Openda or Jonathan David. One of those two. Okay, it's Jonathan David. Much more Jonathan David answers. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Right, there's 4 names for you. Now, again, to everybody voting, remember, we know Isak would win it. So that's why he's not on the list. I'm trying to make this interesting because Isak could win it, and correctly, by a landslide. David is very FSG. I will absolutely cry if we end up with Jonathan David. I'd cry, honestly. And not because, again, but I'd be just like, this is the most FSG thing ever. To maybe sell Darwin for a load of dough and then bring in somebody like or Jonathan David. I couldn't. Age is a big factor. Absolutely. I agree. I think you're talking about a forward, if I was to guess, between 22 and 25 that Liverpool sign. Probably 23, 24 being the 2 years I'd zero in on. Michael said, do you think a couple of academy players will be coming through to the first team next year? Well, look, you look at young Rio and you think he's one that will be coming through, but it's a matter of when. You know, do you rush him and put him into the first team immediately next year? Or does he have a good pre-season with Liverpool and maybe a solid loan? Again, not my decision to make on that one. Then obviously you've got Jayden Danns, who's on loan at Sunderland for the remainder of the campaign. So what I think might happen, and again I'm spitballing, but what I think may happen is Liverpool might sell Jota and Darwin, bring back in Jayden Danns as the second striker option and go big for the other one, whether that's Isak or somebody else. Someone said, no, you haven't got an academy like Hale End. I take it that's the Everton Academy, is it? Which, to be fair, has brought through some great footballers over the year. You know, Everton certainly have a very, very, very good academy and have done. Chelsea, again, another one club with a great academy. Southampton have brought through some incredible players over the years. But to get back to the question, so I think Rio is one option. Then you've got Bajcetic, who's going to come back into the fold. And I think he'll be in the shake-up for next season. Centre-back wise, I'm not sure what the progression of Nalo is going to be and how quickly maybe he's put into the first team setup on a more regular basis. And then, of course, we've got young Kumas. Kumas out on loan as well. Let's see what happens with him. Ben Doak, another name. My understanding with Ben Doak is that he'll be sold, but am I concerned about Dan's injury? I don't know enough about the situation to feel like I'd be concerned about it or not. Someone said Trainioni, a great show. You know, I subconsciously I kind of already think of Trainioni as being first team. You know, he's probably the person that's right on the edge. And McConnell, again, another name. McConnell, what happens with McConnell? So, God, thinking about this now, so there's Bajcetic, McConnell, Nioni, Kumas, Danns, Rio, Nalo. So it's probably Morton, I think, goes. I think this is the summer we sell Tyler Morton. And I think he might have been sold if he hadn't have had the shoulder injury. Which, seeing young, I think the plan was to keep him and loan out McConnell. But with Tyler Morton getting the shoulder injury, I think that meant Arna said then he promoted through James McConnell to being the extra body in midfield. I agree with this as well from Riot. Nioni plays so mature for his age. He absolutely does. Like, he's one of those players you look at and you think, there's no way he's not getting to first team football in the Premier League at some point. He's so classy, Trainioni. I couldn't but see him making a success of his career. So there's some players that are in and around the club like Tyler Morton, who I wish for their sake the club would sell. Because I think the likes of a Tyler, I don't want to see Tyler Morton become another Ryan Kent as an example. Or another Nat Phillips, which was loan after loan after loan after loan, and no real chance to put down roots. I think we need to just cut our losses and say Tyler's a solid pro, probably isn't going to get the chance to break through at Liverpool. I think the best thing to do would be to sell him for him and his career. And I think he will go on to have a solid career in Premier League, just maybe not in the top 4 or 5 clubs. Oh, Marcus, did I miss your super chat, mate? My sincere apologies, bro. Sorry. Let me flow back through. Yeah, you're right. I did miss it, Marcus. You're right. My apologies, sir. So he said, we have to remember we're not competing against the prime Man City. We're competing against an injured Arsenal side. Love you and your channel. You're the highlight for many, many people. Thank you, my man. And look, I agree wholeheartedly with what you said, Marcus. I've been saying that throughout the season. I understand Liverpool fans being nervy about the contract situation, about the situation in the league. But like yourself, I've said to myself, we're not being chased by a prime City. We're being chased by an Arsenal whose pressure to win a league title is more than ours. Because at least we can look back and go, right, we won one in recent times under Jurgen, and it was a long, long way to get one. But that monkey's off our back, and we won a league title. The pressure on Arteta and those Arsenal players from the amount of money invested and the signings of the likes of Declan Rice, it's huge. And at least with Jurgen, you know, whilst we had some false dawns with regards to the Premier League, we kept picking up some silverware along the way. League Cups, FA Cups, you know. Then we had the season, obviously, with the Champions League, the Super Cup, the Club World Cup. We were decorated. I've made this point all the way through. I think it should be getting to a point where Arteta's job's on the line. And I know that sounds really harsh because there's no doubt he's improved Arsenal. But he hasn't shown them to have the killer instinct to win silverware. He's won one FA Cup in, 5 or 6 years? And for the money invested and for the squad they have, that's not good enough. And if he was a Liverpool manager or a Manchester United manager or a Chelsea manager, he'd be gone. He'd be gone. Because it's all very well and good saying they finished second a couple of times, and we know that pain, but you got to deliver, man. You got to start putting silverware on the table, or all that money invested has been wasted. Max said the Reds ain't got no money, but we'll still win the league. I certainly hope so. I believe so. I think you're right. Well, hopefully you're wrong about the money part. You know, let's wait and see in the summer what happens there. What do I think of Victor Boniface? Do you know what? I'll be honest again and say I don't know enough about him. I haven't watched enough of him playing to. I don't really pay too much attention to the Bundesliga that these days. Unless I know we're after a player, and then maybe I'll try to watch a bit. But yeah, I don't know much about him. Did he sign a new deal? Or I know there was talk that maybe it was him or John Duran, wasn't it, for Saudi Arabia during the summer, or excuse me, during the winter window. Do you think we'll go for Haddo this summer? I mean, it'd be hard for me to sit here and say no, because we know he's going to be a player in demand this summer. We know he's friends with Ryan, obviously from his Ajax days. We know Gravenberch brought him over for a game at Anfield recently. The problem I would have there is what competition maybe, because we've seen price tag of 40 million, but Real Madrid's name's been bandied around for him as well. So I think he's defo in the mix. Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if he was a player that we went to, but I either feel like it's already wrapped up with Haddo when he's coming, or we won't go in for him at all. Does that make sense? I feel like either that's all agreed and deal and done and dusted, or it isn't going to happen. And it certainly feels like the momentum at the minute is under the idea of Dean Huijsen coming in. Ben said, I think Sesko is the best striker option. I also think Cunha's hype is unreserved. Do you mean undeserved? So I was like you, mate. I definitely felt like I wasn't there with Cunha until somebody mentioned the Bobby Firmino type role. And then I watched when we played against Wolves, and I went back and I watched some more highlights of Cunha. And I seen him score different types of goals. And I seen him linking up well and starting attacks and building attacks and clever movement. And I thought, okay, now I can start to see it. So I've changed and softened my stance on that a bit, but I can understand where you're coming from. So some stats here from Stefan Bajcetic against Barcelona. And again, thank you so much, Mark. Accurate passes, 13 of 18. Chances created, 1. Touches, 41. Passes into the final third, 2. Interceptions, 3. Recoveries, 5. And he played 86 minutes. Thank you so much for that, Mark. Sean said, I would take Ollie Watkins if we could get him. I wouldn't. I don't think he's prolific enough, if that makes sense. But there's a lot to admire about Ollie Watkins. He's an honest, hard-working player. If you add in his age, what is he now, 27, Watkins? I just think not for me. I'm going to just leave this up as well for the last few minutes in case you haven't seen them. There's a link to the top of the chat there pinned, and if you are a member, remember, check the membership tab. You get a 10% off code as well. Shawnee said he spent a fortune too. Arteta, yes, an absolute fortune. And even yesterday when we were talking about the wage bill, Arsenal are right up there. Like, where's the numbers? I still have them to hand here. Bear with me. Where the fuck's the numbers? Sorry, I'm scrolling back through my own notes from the last couple of days. Watkins is 29. Ah, here, well then, no. Sorry, I thought he was 27. Apologies, 29, not a chance. Where the hell is that stat gone? Surely I didn't delete that. Yeah, I must have deleted it, sorry. Unless I put it into this one. Sorry, I'm flying through my WhatsApp notes here. Was it in here? No, I don't have the numbers anymore. Anyway, if my memory's right, Liverpool were 5th on the list of wage bill. City were top. And then Arsenal came in, I think, after that. Still trying to find it. No, I don't have it. Sorry. I must have deleted it. I'm annoyed at myself now for that one. Thoughts on Kulusevski as a potential Liverpool transfer? I like him as a player. An honest, good, hard-working player. Thank you, Mark. Mark sent it to me. It was an Anfield sector post, so thank you, Mark. There you go. Thank you, Mark. You're an absolute legend. So, here are the club's annual wage bills for 24-25. And again, this is leading back into why I think Arteta should be under pressure. So Manchester City in 24-25 had the biggest wage bill in the Premier League at £215.5 million. Then come Arsenal at a wage bill of £172.1 million. Manchester United then with a wage bill of 171, Chelsea with 160 and Liverpool with 128. So Arsenal are up there with the second highest wage bill in the Premier League for that season. But they're not picking up silverware with it. And that's why I genuinely feel that Arteta's job should be under pressure if he doesn't win something big this season. And I said it going back to the start of the season as well. And with John Kulusevski, I think Barcelona have been more linked with a move for Kulusevski. How about Gordon? I would imagine that since he signed that new deal at Newcastle, that's probably the end of him. Does anyone think Kane's going to go back to Spurs? Because there's been lots of talk about him maybe going back to Spurs. Right, so we're nearly at 1,000 votes in the striker poll. Keep voting away if you haven't. And there's one clear winner. What about Rodrigo Goish? Difficult one, that. If you asked me a year ago on him, I'd have thought he would have been almost the perfect Mohamed Salah replacement for the future. But I just feel like he hasn't been as involved or prolific or important to Real Madrid since the Mbappes, the Bellinghams. And interestingly, we tried to sign him when he was at Santos before he went to Real Madrid. And I think there was a deal that was nearly in place for something tiny, like $3.5 million or something. And he ended up saying he stayed, he wanted to finish his studies, and then he moved to Real Madrid. So yeah, that was another one of those could have been signings. Chris Wood, would you stop it now, Tom? Come on. Right, we only need 20 more votes and then we will announce the winner of the Pick a Forward to Sign. Now remember, there was no Isak in the poll because he would have won it. Would I take Martinez? No, I wouldn't. Again, I don't think he's the right type of forward for us. So no for me for Lautaro. I would be interested to see, though, if Kane goes back to Spurs. That's interesting to me because I think there's a clause in his deal where they have first refusal. Petter said you can have Nkunku. So I said, Petter, I would never take Christopher Nkunku, and for one reason. As soon as he said the words, Paris is the club of my heart, that was it for me. Wherever else he went, I always felt like if PSG came a knocking to take him back, he'd want the way out. So I always said no to Nkunku just for that reason. João Pedro be a better signing. I'm unsure on João Pedro as well. Had some injuries, and I just feel like he'd be too much of a risk for me, João Pedro. But again, these are just my opinions. Please don't take them as gospel. Just, me trying to give an honest answer. Right, we've had the 1,000 votes, and Matheus Cunha was the winner of the poll with 60%. 60% of the vote. Then second was Benjamin Sesko, Jonathan David, and Hugo Ekitike was the last one. But again, it's important to point out we didn't put Isak in that one. Right, ladies and gents, I'm going to go before my wife kills me because I told her I was jumping on for an hour, and here I am 2 hours into the stream. So tomorrow we will be live from 3:15 for the watch along of the Man City game. If we win it, I hope more of us are on board with the league being wrapped up. But either way, whatever happens, thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it. Have you seen the intro preview for the City game? Where? And which one? I have my own preview up. And also, don't forget, if you are a member, do check out... No, not that one. This one. Do check out the Anfield Agenda shop.com. You can see it linked to our YouTube channel. If you're a member, check the community tab and there'll be a 10% off code there for you. And I will see you guys tomorrow for what is another massive game and hopefully a celebration. Drop a like for me before you head off, but most importantly, thank you so much for making this a really fun Saturday night. I know it was an unplanned stream, but you guys showed up in numbers and I really enjoy it. So thank you for your support. Have a wonderful Saturday night, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Much love.